Following former President Jacob Zuma's announcement recently that he would not be voting for the ANC in upcoming elections, instead giving his ballot to the party known as MK, Dr Ebrahim Harvey, political analyst and author, shares his perspective on the network of interests and outcomes written into the story and joins us now. Dr Harvey, good evening. Welcome to the program. It seems the former president will always be able to attract headlines with any moves he makes, but you describe his political decision as being crass and opportunistic, and you share your reading of the context for drawing that conclusion. I'd love for you to share that with our viewers now.
Yes, thanks, Iman. What I sense really, against the background that I sketched in the column, you have to look at that history to understand it's a kind of frustrated and embittered vindictiveness that I sense from Zuma. This was a long time coming. I mean, there's been very serious problems at Zuma around corruption, many things that had happened, Kandla and so on. So there's been major problems between Zuma and the rest of the ANC leadership, in particular Ramaphosa, and he seems to hold Ramaphosa responsible for him being imprisoned in 2021, and which led to the riots, and so on. But you have to look at his decision to form this MK party, just barely 5 months before the election, as a reaction, an embittered reaction to him being basically marginalized, And there's been lots of talks in the media about increasing dissatisfaction with these comments by senior ANC leaders, But you also have to take into account that, in fact, what the ANC would be, if the ANC decided to expel Zuma because of the formation of this MK party, they would be entirely in order. But they, I was on 702 radio this morning, I said the ANC is at the moment between a rock and a hard place regarding Zuma, because if they do indeed move towards dismissing him, which they could do, it is likely that the MK party that has been formed would gain more traction and become more of a threat to the ANC in the 2024 elections. And that is what I meant when this dilemma that the ANC faces at the moment about whether they act against him. I mean, he's effectively decampaigning. It's nonsense that he says that he'll die ANC. There's nothing more important than the ANC. And then he decampaigns the ANC. He doesn't just say he's not going to vote for the ANC, but he calls on the electorate not to vote for the ANC and to vote for the MK.
So I don't know. All right, Ebrahim, go ahead.
I don't know if you've been following the media. There's been, in fact, a far greater positive response to this MK party than I had envisaged, And I think it speaks to the growing crisis, especially the political leadership crisis in the ANC. Mavuso Msimang, that resigned and then went back. So there's lots of indications that all is not well in the ANC at all. But Zuma has been very smart, the way he's calculated this thing. I think he was hoping perhaps pushing the ANC to actually that this would lead to his dismissal, which who knows the constitution in the ANC better than Zuma. But you can see it's gaining tempo and traction. I mean, there's been a massive.
And that's what I really want to ask you about next, Ebrahim. Let's just focus on that piece. I mean, you do write that this development has created some confusion inside or between the ANC and MK. This is voter confusion, and you make the suggestion that could this be an opportunity that the EFF could exploit to its advantage. But given the context of KwaZulu-Natal as it is right now, and we can also add into the mix the passing of former IFP leader Prince Buthelezi, the persona of Zuma, and we saw it again yesterday in some small way, although quite vociferous, at the memorial service for Dr. Mbongeni Ngema, that people do see him as a man that they relate to, a man that they see themselves in, a man potentially that they trust. So as he remains one of the legacy political faces in the province, what would it spell then in real terms for political spoils?
No, it would have massive consequences. I spelled it out in the column. Iman. If this party takes off, and it seems clearly it's going to take off, and in KZN in particular, other parts of the country too. But I can tell you the ANC's vote in KZN would certainly split between MK. It is gaining increasing traction, and no doubt, Zuma, no matter what we say about corruption charges, is very popular, and particularly in KZN. So I think, the ANC's got to be very careful how they handle this, because if they move towards expulsion, I can tell you, I think that MK would gain more traction and be a much more formidable force in that election, particularly in KZN. And I think this is the dilemma that the ANC is sitting with at the moment. As regards to the EFF, there's no doubt about it, If you look at the people who've joined the EFF, Jimmy Mani, Karl Niaus, and so on. So there's a lot of momentum that the EFF is building up. And clearly, if you listen to Malema, they speak very confidently. They're going to supplant the ANC. They're going to be the new ruling party. I don't believe so. But I certainly think they're going to, possibly, let me tell you, they might displace the DA as the official opposition. This is what I think might happen. But definitely, the ANC is in very serious trouble now with this MK formation in the elections of 2024. There is no doubt about it. That is how great the popularity and support amongst the masses, ordinary people in KZN is for Zuma.
So there's so many themes that you raise here, Ebrahim. But again, just to go back then, and we'll certainly have these conversations in the run-up to the elections, no doubt. And I am certain that there will be more electoral surprises, given the political landscape in South Africa over the last while. But you, in the beginning of your piece, talk about, Mr. Zuma's decision as one that, lacks integrity. In these times of political survival, do you think the former president has the right to change his mind, issue his own protest to the party?
No, he has the right to change his mind, but this is playing games, and dangerous games. You can't pledge loyalty to the ANC and say there's nothing more important and bigger than the ANC, and then say that you're not going to vote for the ANC and go further. This is very important. He tells the electorate not only not to vote for the ANC, but to vote for the MK. Now, I mean, this is destructive, honestly, and so how the ANC deals with this thing is very interesting. No decision has been taken. I think they're weighing up the pros and cons of whatever action they might take. But Zuma's playing games, Iman, I mean, clearly, and dangerous games at that. It's a contradiction in terms. To pledge loyalty to the ANC, you'll die ANC, and at the same time, in the same breath, call on the electorate to vote for the MK party and not the ANC. And in that regard, Fikile Balula is completely correct when he says that there are people who are de-campaigning the ANC, because that is exactly what he's doing. So you've got to look at the inconsistencies and contradictions in what Zuma is saying. It's filled up with contradictions, what he has said so far in the media, He's trying to make it seem like the MK was a military organization of the ANC, and it disbanded in 1993. So, his attempt to make it seem like MK is ANC, I think, is a serious problem.
All right, we'll leave it on that note. But as I say, this is certainly a series that will continue to advance as we head towards and even beyond the elections. Dr. Ebrahim Harvey, thank you for your time and analysis. He is political analyst and author.